When you've shared a decade with someone, you start to believe you've weathered every possible storm. The laughter, the fights, the cold silences, the routines, all of it becomes the rhythm of your life together. You stop expecting surprises. But one evening, over dinner, my wife Anna shattered that illusion. She looked at me with calm, practiced eyes and said, "I think we should try polyamory." For a moment, I thought I'd misheard. I set my fork down and stared at her, waiting for a smirk, a laugh, anything to show she was joking. But she wasn't. Her expression was composed, confident, like she'd been preparing this speech for weeks. "What?" I finally managed. "You heard me," she said softly. "I think it's time we open up our marriage. See other people." The words hit me like a physical blow. My chest tightened, and my mind scrambled to process what I was hearing. Polyamory? From Anna, the same woman who once frowned at me for smiling too long at a waitress? I sat there, stunned. Half of me burned with anger. What was missing in our marriage that she needed to go searching elsewhere? But another part of me, one I didn't expect, felt something close to curiosity. And buried even deeper beneath the confusion and hurt was a flicker of relief. Because there was something Anna didn't know. Rachel, her best friend since college, had already been in my thoughts. Rachel had always been around. Birthdays, holidays, weekend dinners. She was family. But unlike Anna, she didn't make me feel like I was constantly being measured or managed. She was gentle, warm, easy to talk to. Over time, our friendship had grown into something unspoken but undeniable, a quiet understanding, a connection I never dared to act on. I loved Anna. I respected our vows. But Rachel, she saw me. So when Anna dropped her bombshell, I didn't shout or argue. I didn't even blink. I just looked her in the eye and said, "Okay." Rachel already said yes. The color drained from her face. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice suddenly unsure. "Exactly what it sounds like," I replied evenly. "Rachel and I have already talked about this. She's open to it." For the first time in our marriage, Anna was speechless. Her composure cracked. She blinked rapidly, trying to piece it together. "You and Rachel?" she stammered. "Yes," I said, cutting her off. "Your best friend. The one who's watched you pull away from me for years. The one who listens, really listens." The silence that followed was deafening. I could feel the power shift, like the ground beneath us had tilted. "This isn't what I meant," she snapped, slamming her glass on the table. "I thought we'd explore together. With boundaries. Not you running off with her." I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. "You wanted to open the door, Anna. You just didn't expect me to be the first one to walk through it." Her glare could have cut glass, but behind the fury, I saw it, realization. She had miscalculated. She thought suggesting polyamory would give her freedom while keeping me tethered, obedient. But the moment she said those words, everything shifted. The days that followed were tense, suffocating. She tried to backtrack, to rewrite her own narrative. But it was too late. You can't unring a bell. Meanwhile, Rachel and I grew closer. What started as long conversations and late-night messages slowly turned into something real. Something neither of us could deny anymore. When we finally crossed that line, it wasn't impulsive. It wasn't revenge. It was inevitable, quiet, tender, honest. For the first time in years, I felt wanted. Seen. When Anna found out, the explosion was instant. Accusations, tears, rage, all of it. But I didn't flinch. Every time she called it betrayal, I reminded her, "You opened this door." In the end, our marriage didn't survive. Maybe it had already died long before that dinner. Maybe her polyamory was just the final nail in a coffin we'd been building for years. But for me, it wasn't an ending. It was release. Anna thought she was setting herself free that night, but in truth, she freed me. She gave me the push I needed to stop living small, to stop waiting for love that never came back. When I said, "Rachel already said yes," it wasn't just a line meant to wound her. It was the truth. She thought she was in control. But for the first time in a long time, the choice was mine. And I finally chose me.